SBS advises that the following program contains content that may disturb some viewers.
Sweden. Often seen as a postcard of neutrality, happiness and tolerance. But in recent years, this seemingly peaceful nation has been rocked by gun violence.
That's all the evidence. Could be shell casings, blood traces.
Last year there were 342 shootings. Per head, that's more shootings than anywhere else in Europe. And this year is on par to be the deadliest one so far.
We know how to shoot. Make it fast with the head move.
Tonight we investigate what's behind this gun crime epidemic and how it's fueling anti-immigrant sentiment.
Belysa hur ohämmad, ansvarslös massinvandring sliter isär och splittrar Sverige.
Summer's almost here in Sweden. While many Swedes are making the most of the long days by socialising and being outdoors, another man uses it to pursue a unique hobby.
Hi.
Hi.
Is it Mike?
Yeah, it's Michael.
Hi, Mike. Evan.
Hey, hi, Evan.
See you. Good
nice
to
see you. So I had a car parked over here.
An office manager by day. By night, Mike documents crime scenes in the Stockholm area.
Yeah, just about a month ago, there was actually a guy shot dead right in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So just a month ago?
Just a month ago, 50 meters from where I parked my car.
Right, is that sort of gang related possibly?
Yes, it was.
These images are from that crime scene. A morbid fascination to some, Mike feels a duty to record and share these crimes with society. Often, he says, they don't even make the news.
The crime statistics, in every way, even if it's stabbings or shootings or explosions, everything is increasing, and that's a scary development in my opinion, and we can't close our eyes to it.
Mike gets tip-offs from Facebook, news sites and some of his 40,000 followers on Instagram.
I think since the beginning of this year, I think hovered around maybe 25 to 30 shootings.
Wow. Since the beginning
of this year, in January.
So 30.
And that's just the ones I've been covering myself. I haven't been to all of the actual shootings. We're heading for Skarpnäck, where gun violence and violence is increasing basically over the last couple of months. If you look into your right there, you can see on the square there, there was a man in his 20s who got shot with several shots.
Wow.
And
so this is like the centrum. So this is like all the shops are here. This is like the shopping centre of the area. Broad daylight, lots of people.
Yeah.
Of the hundreds of shootings in Sweden last year, many of them were in public spaces like this.
Today, there's no respect for a third party. You just go ahead. If you want to kill someone, it doesn't matter if it's broad daylight or in the middle of a centrum or if it's lots of people around you.
By posting images of these different shootings on social media, Mike's point becomes clear. Swedish gun crime is out of control. Malmö is one of Sweden's deadliest cities. There's been 298 shootings here in the past 7 years. We've been given rare access to a hospital and one of its most experienced physicians on the front line.
So this is where the ambulances come in.
Ardavan is an emergency medicine specialist.
We do have, for example,
He's
a
treated
gunshot wound.
countless gunshot wounds over the
patients.
past decade.
So a patient with gunshot wound will be brought in here from the ambulance.
And what would you classify a gunshot wound victim usually?
It's a trauma level 1 patient. That means that we have everyone down here and waiting for the patient.
It's a massive commitment of hospital resources.
Oh, definitely, because it's not only resources from the emergency department, but it's resources from the whole house, the whole hospital. We have a lot of surgeries that may be postponed because all the resources are focused on this gunshot wound.
What sort of injuries are you normally seeing?
It can be anything from wounds to the extremities, usually the legs, which are not so serious, to really serious wounds to the chest and to the head. However, more and more criminals are using bulletproof vests.
This protection has only made Ardavan's job harder. Gang members are now shooting to kill.
Patients with, this is an example of a gunshot wound to the head. The bullet has come into the left side of the brain, through the whole brain, and stopped at the right side of the brain.
Is that survivable?
This is not survivable. Absolutely not. We can see partly because of the massive hemorrhage, we are seeing the bullet is still here. We have a lot of air in the brain. A person with this kind of gunshot wound will unfortunately never come out from it alive.
Ardavan is not only a doctor, he's also a criminologist. His family immigrated to Sweden in the 90s.
چای می نوشی شما؟
آره مرسی.
He grew up in the very communities that are now experiencing so much violence.
It's heartbreaking to see communities which I myself have been a part of are today problem areas.
اوکی. خیلی سخت شده. یعنی آوازه بدی توی شهر افتاده از دست این مجرم.
هم توی شهر هم کلا داخل تمام مملکت کم و بیش رفتار بکنه.
As a man who lives to save lives, Ardavan is worried about the young people involved in these crimes.
They are from what we in Sweden call vulnerable areas. That is areas that have a high rate of immigrants usually, a high rate of unemployment, a low rate of education, and in my opinion, that's a major failure from Sweden's part that has not been able to integrate these individuals properly to the society.
Sweden has 60 vulnerable areas where gang crime like this is having a devastating impact. Rosengård is Malmö's most notorious vulnerable area. At its peak, there were 40 shootings in this suburb alone in 1 year.
We have been able to walk in here like this?
No, not at all.
For the past 40 years, Glenn and his colleague Stefan have been policing this neighbourhood.
Taken it from him. We got about 100 different nationalities living here in this area, and we got around 20,000 inhabitants at all.
It's estimated that 90% of the population here are immigrants and 1/3 are unemployed.
See, people live here very friendly.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah, well,
but it's a few assholes destroying it. On this place in Mars 2017, a young guy, 23 years, was shot to death by two killers. One with a Kalashnikov, one with a handgun. No, normally it's a drug business that's gone wrong in some way, but in some cases it's about a girlfriend.
What kind of drugs and where are they coming from?
They're coming from the continent, of course. We don't have any own production, and usually it's smuggled over the bridge from Denmark. And it's very common with cannabis, of course, but also heavy drugs like cocaine. Cocaine is very big.
Is it big business for the gangs?
Very big, very big. They got a lot of money.
And you have buyers from all over the southern part of Sweden coming here. It's also a problem for us, because how can you persuade a young man that earns 5,000 euros per week to get a normal job?
Yeah.
Drugs and the lure of cash is the main driver behind the violence. I'm heading to Gothenburg, home to one of Sweden's longest-running turf wars. In 2015, 3 gang members opened fire at a rival in a packed pub. 2 dead and 15 wounded. This war is still raging today. And as I'm about to find out, it's not only the police confronting the gangsters.
Hi. Hello. Hi, I'm Evan. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming over. Could you tell me what's the name of the group?
Active mamma.
Active Mamas.
Mammor.
Okay.
Det kan hända ibland. Det hände många skjutningar. Men det är speciellt under sommaren och under vintertiden. Det kan hända. När kommer mörk, de kan komma in i gängerna som vill skada folk.
Like most vulnerable areas, this community has a large immigrant population, high unemployment, and is known for drugs and gang violence. 3 or 4 nights a week, these mothers set out to patrol the streets, looking for young men who might be involved or targets of these crimes.
Ja, vi frågar brotta direkt när vi ser ungdomar som säljer droger eller de håller på någon inte bra. Vi pratar med ungdomarna och säger varför ni står här, vad gör ni här, ni måste gå hem. Det är dags att sova, det är inte tid att...
These guys have guns. They're shooting each other. Isn't this dangerous for you?
No.
Why not?
Varför sana ni känner ungdomar hur man är smal? Alla ungdomar bor området. Ni känner oss. Vi respekterar oss.
This group believes the community needs to lead the fight against drugs and gun crime.
Lösningen är samhället och svenska myndigheter måste se den är allvarligt. Många ungdomar dör varje dag. De måste lägga pengar, mer polis och tunnel. Och så inte bara polisen. Föräldrarna måste komma ut och kolla deras barn vad gör ute. Föräldrars sida måste komma ut.
These mothers and aunties all know young men caught up in the gang violence. But for Hiba, these patrols are personal.
Ja, det är svårt för mig. Där är brottsplatsen som dog min son. Så.
At just 16, Elias was a good student with a bright future. He was sitting here with friends when he was gunned down in cold blood.
Men den som hade stora vapen, när han kom det, han var bestämt. Han började skjuta honom. Och så den andra gjorde, han blivit lite. Men jag kan inte förklara.
No, I'm sorry.
To date, no one has been convicted of Elias's murder.
Now, why do you think your son was shot?
Den här frågan, jag kan inte svara. Men jag känner min son. Min son är inte gangster eller såna. Han inte håller på någon dumma saker. Folk säger det var kanske fel person. Det är så.
Back in Rosengard, Glenn and Stefan believe they've found a way to reduce gang violence. The program is called Stop Shooting.
We need to identify who is part of the criminal organizations that we have, the criminal gangs, and then we address them.
And it is a very clear message. And if you or anyone in your group shoot, kills or is involved in any deadly violence, it will have consequences for all of you. No matter who does it.
And those consequences mean extreme scrutiny by the police and 12 other government enforcement agencies, including regular searches, prosecutions and seizing assets.
We are very close to harassment. We're taking their euros because that's money. We're taking the drugs because that's money. They cannot own a car because we will seize it. We try to make their lives as miserable as possible.
Today, Glenn is doing what's called a notification. While police deter gang members with punishment, other government agencies in the program are ready to help them start a new life. Rebecca is a social worker.
So we sit down with them and we ask them what do you think you need to live the criminal lifestyle, and then we see if we can meet those needs.
What's the profile of these individuals that you normally meet?
Many of them are between, let's say, 22 and 28. So they are young men.
For safety, they've enlisted the help of another police officer. They're meeting with a young man who owes money to a gang and has threats on his life. For the man's security, they asked us to wait here, but the audio you're about to hear is real.
Vi har ju uppgift om att du har en hotbild. Om du eller någon i ditt kompisgäng, gruppering, skjuter, spränger eller utför dåligt våld. Vi kommer ligga på 24 timmar om dygnet.
Om du är trött på det här så ska du veta att det finns det en väg ut från det och vi kommer hjälpa dig med det.
Vad är det för hjälp?
Vi är öppna för allt. Vi hjälper många att flytta till andra städer.
Och nu min mamma då? Kan hon följa med?
Vi är liksom öppna på alla fronter för att försöka hjälpa dig om det är det du vill.
Have a go.
That was good.
Yeah, quite well.
How many people have actually been sort of relocated or helped?
Well, the last 3 years we have moved 40 persons. They have been relocated to another city. And we have also helped 85 others within the city of Malmö. So it's quite a big number.
Since the program began, shootings in Malmö have decreased by 2/3. It's now being rolled out in other gun crime hotspots across Sweden. But to find out if it might work, we've managed to contact a gangster involved in armed crime who will talk to us only if we guarantee his anonymity.
In Malmö, there's a program called Stop Shooting. Do you think that could work here?
What do you mean, the snitch program?
Is that what you see it as? A snitch program? But aren't they just helping people getting out of the city? Out of violence?
Why the fuck should we do that? We're not snitches. Police that can fuck themselves.
What's the cause of the killing?
Drugs, money, power.
And how young were you when you first got hold of a weapon?
13. I had to learn how to shoot. We're not ghetto blaster here in America that holds the weapon like this, you know. We know how to shoot. And you move once the pop.
How's it changed from your day when you grew up?
Nowadays, give a gun to 13-year-old. He does prison for children, with maximum 3 years with K.
We heard that more and more people are wearing bulletproof vests.
It doesn't help shit.
No?
Because we aim at the head. Why the fuck should you have a vest on? If you really to kill somebody, you're gonna shoot them in the chest. Make it fast. In the head, boom.
I'm in Sweden, where record rates of gun crime have left authorities scrambling for solutions. And with an election coming up in September, it's proving to be a defining election issue. According to recent polls, 44% of Swedish voters believe law and order is the most important political issue. And one party says it's offering a solution to the problem it saw coming years ago.
Sverige under de senaste decennierna. Det går i princip inte en enda dag utan att vi möts av nya rubriker om skjutningar, dödsskjutningar eller annan grov kriminalitet.
I'm at the 2022 campaign launch of the Sweden Democrats. Jimmy Åkesson, the charismatic leader of the party, has moderated this group from a white nationalist outfit to a centre-right populist powerhouse. With most of the gun crime occurring within migrant communities, Åkesson is blaming immigration for the law and order problem.
Vi måste offensivt slå tillbaka de direkt samhällsfientliga, systemhotande krafter som vill förstöra vårt land.
And they've made it the cornerstone of their 2022 campaign.
Och Sverige ska inte vara en frizon för illegala invandrare. Sverige ska inte vara ett paradis för kriminella. För oss Sverigedemokrater är det egentligen väldigt enkelt. Passar inte det Sverige erbjuder, då är det bara packa väskan och åka hem.
Despite public perception as a right-wing party, recent data shows that the Sweden Democrats are stealing young voters from the country's progressive and ruling parties. Dana's parents came from Iraq. She grew up in the vulnerable area of Malmö.
When I was growing up, there was a lot of shootings, there was a lot of rape, and I never felt safe going out, especially as a woman and especially as a Middle Eastern woman.
Why have you joined the Sweden Democrats?
Because I was sick and tired of not being able to go outside, being afraid of people from my own home countries. I was actually fearing for my own life, especially
Emil
after I
joined the Sweden Democrats
so I just
after
didn't
being
want to sit on
robbed
my-
in his hometown, a small village in rural Sweden.
What is the link between the crime, though, and immigration?
Well, there are many links. One of them is, for example, we see increased segregation in Sweden. We have areas in Sweden where people barely speak Swedish at all. People feel no loyalty to the majority society. They don't feel any loyalty to the Swedish state, Swedish law. And I think a lot of people, or some people in those areas, also feel this disrespect towards the Swedish people.
And one thing is, of course, Sweden Democrats says they should be curbing immigration almost completely. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, we need a net zero immigration to Sweden.
Do you agree with their policy of almost zero immigration?
Right now, yes, because we need to integrate the people that came to Sweden first before we can take in anyone else. I really believe that a small immigration can be positive for our country. It can help us build the country and take the country forward. But right now, that it will not happen if we continue to take in immigrants.
In the race for votes, Sweden's major parties are now starting to talk along the same lines. With Progressive Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson recently stating that Sweden has failed to integrate the vast number of immigrants that it's received in the past 2 decades. But not everyone agrees that immigration is the cause of Sweden's gun crime epidemic.
I think people are really upset about it happening.
Lisa Pelling is an academic who's studied the integration of immigrant communities.
The Sweden Democrats' scapegoat is always to blame everything on immigration. And it is true that the likelihood of committing a crime is higher if you have immigrated to Sweden or if you have immigrant background. It is true. But the likelihood of committing a crime is much, much higher if you are a school dropout or if your parents have received social benefits. So it's really a question of social segregation, it's a question of socially disadvantaged areas.
Lisa believes education is the key to integration, and it's a place where successive governments have failed.
So we have a tremendously large and increasing dropout rate. Around 17,000 young kids every year, around 17% would leave the compulsory school. And at 16, in an advanced economy like Sweden, there are no jobs for 16-year-olds without a formal education. So these kids would feel that their prospects, their futures, there are a lot of doors closing on them. And of course not everyone, but many are then attracted by the option of joining a criminal gang.
1/5 of the Swedish population is from a migrant background like Ardavan.
Here we have my library, my favorite place.
As a criminologist and doctor, he says the problem is Sweden is failing its immigrant communities.
The main question is, if you stop immigration, will the shooting stop? Well, perhaps not, because those who are doing the shootings today are mostly individuals that was a child when they came to Sweden or have been born in this country. If a child is grown up in Sweden with Swedish values in Swedish schools and still have not these values, for example, and not even can talk Swedish properly, then that's a problem of the society which must be fixed.
While Sweden edges towards the right and grapples for solutions, the violence continues. Photographer Mike has just heard of another gruesome crime.
Oh, so we just got something here. It's actually a tip. There's someone saying that they heard gunshots in Västerås.
Okay, where's that?
It's a bit far away. It's an hour drive. And they're saying that the police is in the area, and they've also heard the police chopper in the air. So we're gonna go there and check out what's happening. The guy has been shot, according to my information.
Right.
This is called Hammarby, the area. There's been actually a couple of shootings in this area previously. Right behind that house somewhere on a street called Liegatan, like 2 months ago, a guy was shot. That's all the evidence. Could be shell casings, blood traces.
As the police leave, just a small sign of the night's drama remains.
Oh yeah, there's blood there.
Mm-hmm. Oh right, I see.
So yeah, that's where we found him, or perhaps where he was shot. Does it look like a bullet hole over there?
What did you hear about what happened to the guy? Was he killed or injured?
He was injured. I don't know how serious the injuries are, but I've heard he's injured and taken to the hospital.
Do you think Sweden as a society is starting to understand the scale of this problem?
Yeah, I think they do. People are starting to understand what's happening around them and how violence actually is increasing in the society around them. 10 years back, you didn't see this happening. Maybe it happened once, maybe twice every year, but now it's happening. Now this is the rule.
And with no sign of slowing, it's uncertain if a change in government will actually stop the bloodshed.